Sorry, my alarm went off. I forgot I had an alarm on my phone. And of course, when it goes up, it stops the recording, which is frustrating. So I'll edit this to the end of the early video. So the planets in Virgo creating this portal, but when they oppose Saturn, you are faced with the question of what do I need in terms of resources and relationships? How am I managing my funds, and who is in the boat with me and who is not? And when it comes to managing my funds, what are the lessons that I'm learning with regard to waste or spending in the wrong directions? What do I need to do to conserve and husband my resources in order to get to the direction and manifest the change that is trying to manifest as a result of all these opportunity-laden transits that are occurring? As these planets oppose Neptune, there was oh, crap. This factor, this influence, this person, this situation is still acting as a deceptive drain. And when we have Venus, the last of these planets going through Virgo for now, these personal planets, heading towards November the 3rd, you may really be at a point where you're like, you know what? That's enough. But you will need to keep your eye on the prize, because Venus represents the prize. So let's say that if there's greater financial and relationship flow, and you are trying to move forward and incorporate the lessons from the Venus retrograde between July 23rd and September 4th, and you are incorporating the lessons with all these oppositions to Saturn, and you now know how you need to manage your resources and what resources you need and which relationships are moving forward and which relationships are not, in order to move forward and create the exciting changes that you would like to create related to the Taurus and Aries part of the chart, supported by the Virgo and Capricorn part of the chart, and therefore changes occurring there too, in connection to the Taurus and Aries part of the chart where the eclipses are occurring. Then, as you head towards November the 3rd, you absolutely need to ensure that when you face Neptune one final time with Venus, that you protect whatever is being gained, whatever flow is being created in the Virgo part of the chart, that is being set up to support the growth in the Taurus part of the chart and the transformation of the Capricorn part of the chart. You need to make sure that as you head to that first week of November the 3rd, that you protect those resources and those relationships and do not relapse into either trusting or engaging with deceptive parties. They may be new, but there's every chance or possibility that it's the same culprits or energies or feeling. And that you don't allow your resources to be scattered or compromised or pilfered or marauded. I was trying not to use dramatic terms. So if the same bad penny person type of situation, whatever it is, shows up, here's the other thing about Venus. It could be that a situation shows up as you head towards November the 3rd, and Venus in her own way takes stock, finally is clear, and acknowledges to herself, us acknowledging to ourselves what's really going on, and quietly resolves to exit certain situations. Very Venusian. It's not an attack, it's not an argument, it's not out and out conflict, it's not getting into arguments or hot-headedness that's just going to escalate and create a certain type of violence where we lose track of who did what first and blah, 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 blah. Venus, we may just be like, you know what? I'm seeing more and more who and what you are, and I'm seeing what is going on here, and I'm just going to quietly close the door on this, lock it, and lose the key. And so As you deal with this Venus Virgo transit, and as now that Venus has cleared Saturn, you start to see greater financial and relationship flow. You may also, as the month of October progresses and as you head towards November 3rd, become clear and keep an eye out for anything that felt loss inducing, or like you invested in the wrong place, or it's a feeling like investing in a place where you lost money because the things that should have been clear were not clear. So you kind of, sometimes people even aren't trying to be deceptive. Sometimes people are just desperate. And so you think, well, you take them at their word. And remember, Mercury was in Virgo. And when Mercury is retrograde, August 23rd to September 5th, and especially when Mercury is going direct, September 15th, you may find that you have learned or seen something that was in your blind spot. So as you enter the Mercury retrograde was occurring and you were galloping forward, you were moving forward and thought, oh, this should be fun, this should be exciting, whatever. And then all of a sudden, as you head towards September, you're just like, I did not know this. And Mercury retrograde is, this is why I reversed, so that I could point this out to you because this was in your blind spot. And now that you know this, what are you going to do with your plans? Are you going to put all your eggs in this basket because the eggs are breaking? Or are you going to take your eggs and put them somewhere else? And if there's a particular direction you want to go to and you thought you would get to it from Route A, well, now you know that Route A may have 15 hornets' nests, analogy, example, that you weren't aware of and that you don't feel that you are going to be exposing yourself to. Well, then now you've got to think of what that Route B or Route C is that might still get you in the direction or in the to the destination you want to go to, but at least you know more about that path you were going down, so that you can figure out how you're going to adjust it and how you're going to factor it into your overall plans. This is why a Mercury retrograde represents in its higher energies delay, pause, stop, rethink, go back to the drawing board. Because typically as we're leading our lives, we make assumptions based on what we're told and what we think. And it's difficult not to make assumptions. You know, if a job opportunity comes, it's hard not to project yourself into futures and think, well, this is what this will be, and this is what this seems like, and that person seems nice, and this. Same thing with dating. You know, how many times do we all hear, and how many times do I hear as an astrologer, well, this person did not turn out to be who I thought they were. Well, that's kind of the challenge. That's kind of the human condition. We really don't know enough about a person or a situation, typically, before we commit down that path, because the experience of actually walking down that path or walking a few steps with that person has to count for something. And we don't have that experience when we start out. And it's so human to assume that we know enough, but we have to keep moving as well. And then Mercury goes retrograde and says, hold on. I need you to see this. I need to expose this. I need you to become aware of this. So Venus comes into Virgo to continue to create opportunities for transformation in the Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn part of the chart. She is likely going to increase financial flow and relationship flow and encourage you to deploy and move forward based on the lessons you learned with Venus retrograde and Venus opposing Saturn, making responsible choices with regard to your resources and relationships and creative pursuits. As you move forward, remember the quality of your abundance is dependent on the quality of your relationships. But at the same time, now that after everything you know, the financial flow or the relationship flow, those taps might become open again, you need to deploy all your lessons and make note of where it is that the drains and the deception or the blind spot stuff that you did not know but now know factors into conserving your resources and making the right, being appropriately boundaried and appropriately supportive of the relationships that count or don't count as you move towards November the 3rd. And it may be that as you head towards the November 3rd, you find yourself tested. And it could be that if you are aware that somewhere there are still things that you need final answers on and a new path you need to go down, and you need to move forward now that these taps are being opened and Venus is coming with a certain amount of bounty. You may need to, you may feel, not even as you head towards November 3rd, but for all of October, you may be very, very conscious of what you need to avoid this time around. And you may need to take some action or make some decisions as you head towards November the 3rd. The nice thing is that the October 28th eclipse at least is supported by this Venus transit. And the Venus transit, as has been true of a lot of the lunations we've had recently, it's the trine to Uranus, the creating the authentic expression of yourself in the Taurus part of the chart. That is being supported. Wonderful. But then just after, there's a opposition to Neptune. So watch out. You have the intelligence and the experience now and the resources now to not fall into the same traps that you may have been falling into over the past 2 or 3 months. And you know enough now. So respect Saturn's opposition, which is happening as planets first enter Virgo, and move forward with the gains and bounty that are created in the Virgo part of your chart now of the month of October at, I would just say, increasing flow. Because as I said, you may still find that even after the eclipse, as you head towards October 20th till December, you may find that you're actively working on and tinkering with creating gains in the Virgo part of your chart, because that's where the Mercury cycle is, through communication and transactions. But over the next month, as you get greater flow, act from a place of greater experience and greater knowledge, which you now have, and ensure that you protect yourself from any influences that feel gaslighty or instinctively that's kind of a red flag, where you just feel like, is this low-hanging fruit? Is this a shortcut? Does something not smell right? Has something not smelled right before? Is this really the best way? Is this the most grounded way? You know, whatever it is for you. I'm hesitant to keep giving examples because I'm not talking to individuals here. So it's a general reading. All right, and then on November the 8th, Venus enters Libra. I will leave it at this. Venus is the ruler of October 14th, new moon. She is in Virgo. Virgo is a sign ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Libra. The two dispositors of the new moon eclipse are Mercury and Venus in mutual reception. Mercury is in Venus's house. Venus is in Mercury's house. And we've been talking about Venus and Mercury. Mercury with its Virgo cycle currently active, and Venus now in Virgo. And so I thought it was important to go ahead and do this video as sort of this background context. Outside of this, Venus doesn't necessarily play a direct or an important or significant role in terms of aspects when it comes to this new moon solar eclipse on the 14th. But she does rule it. And she is in mutual reception with her co-dispositor, Mercury and Libra. So somewhere, part of what is occurring with at least the new moon part of what happens in Libra. Remember, it's a new moon and a solar eclipse. And those are two energies that go hand in hand, but they have separate, different manifestations. From a new moon part of it especially, there may very well be an extension of what these transits in Libra and Venus's transit in Libra are achieving for you. Okay? I hope you found this helpful and useful. There was no way I could talk about the Venus transit in Libra without talking about the Jupiter transit in Taurus, which I did yesterday, and the backdrop of Jupiter right now being retrograde and what that might mean for people who have Jupiter direct or retrograde in the birth chart. So that explains why these videos are occurring in the sequence that they are. Feel free to like, comment, share, tell your friends about the channel if you find this information useful. Click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button. Subscribe to my channel. And if you click on the bell icon, click on the wiggly bell so that you're notified when I do new videos. The email address to reach me if you're interested in a reading, is going to be in the description area below, and I will leave it at that. Thank you.